Marcus Garvey, Message to the People, Lesson 12, The Purpose of Institution. Organized society is always made of a mass of people, and as such, it cannot do anything explicit or in detail by themselves. Hence, the organization of institutions to do the particular work that cannot be done by the masses as a whole. There are different kinds of institutions in a society, but each institution has a particular function, whether it be a church, college, or university, school, hospital, academy, chambers of commerce, fraternity, trade union, literary club, sports club, athletic club, gymnasium, YMCA, or YWCA, etc. In our present society, no such would be functioning properly if institutions do not exist. Therefore, it is necessary for the Negro to pay close attention to developing the appreciation for institutional life. It is not necessary or binding that he copies completely the system, methods, or mannerism of these institutions, and except so far as it could help him to promote a higher life and accomplish the most out of this organized society. This is incumbent upon him that he also have control of his institutions based upon his cultural and civilization idealism. For instance, he may have his own church, but it's necessary for him to adopt particular articles of faith of the churches of alien races. But it's not necessary for him to adopt particular articles of faith of the churches of the alien races. He is not a Hebrew, therefore he would not adopt the Hebrew faith. He is not by origin a Roman Catholic or Anglican, because these faith or religions were founded by white men with their own ideas. In his religious philosophy, the Negro may safely adopt articles of faith linked to him to the Godhead of the Christian faith, and practice such of his particular religion, or so likewise with all other institutions. His university, colleges, and schools may engage in the same process of education, but with adoption of a curriculum necessary to the special benefit of the Negro. His clubs and academies and unions should be modeled in the same way, with absolute objective of attaining the end and particular desire for the particular race. The Negro should never completely surrender himself to institutional life of other people. Otherwise, he will not be original, but purely a copycat. If he can appreciate and show and reveal a wide fields of which remain an untouched Negro organization and Negro activity. It is through institution a race built civilization and culture of a race is built. The Negro should occupy himself cultivating his own culture and ultimately achieving his own civilization needs, so that in comparison with racial achievement, he may be able to stand out distinctly with those achievements of his own account as others may do. To live in achievement of others is really to admit the superiority of others and the inferiority of self. As a fact, it is by such comparison the Negro is being judged as an inferior. Nothing that is handed to the Negro by somebody else should be sufficiently satisfactory for the Negro. He should seek to surround it with originality and then claim it as his own. He is justified in remodeling and reshaping the things to suit himself, because there is nothing new under the sun, whatever other people may have. The Negro is father of civilization. He constructed the first government in Africa and thereby taught others the way. Always seek improvement on what you see fit to adopt. Never leave it at where you adopt it because someone else will claim it and prove their right to it. When you have added to it or taken away from it, you can prove that it was not the same thing and therefore it is yours. Always carefully, thoroughly investigate the accomplishment of other races. Try to improve and beat them at those achievements and keep your achievements secret from them. Never open up the facts of your achievements to others because they are too anxious to get the last word on anything that is worthwhile. Always hide secrets of your achievement while demonstrating those achievements. It must be like a chemist selling his preparation or demonstrating without giving away his formula, because the moment he does so, there will be many similar preparations on the market. Each institution of people has a special objects to attain and may not fit in with the idealism of other people, so the Negro should have his own. He is not to be a slave to other people's idealism. In some details or other, each institution must differ from yours according to their particular idealism. The Jew can never be a Negro in his institution line, nor an Anglo-Saxon or a Latin, nor a Latin or a Toucan, nor neither a Negro. Therefore, a Negro must not try to be neither, but in his constitutional line be himself, like the Jew whose nature made him a Jew for a particular purpose. Therefore, must be different in his habits and his way of living and his idealism. All people have separate, distinct functions, and they should keep those functions. Archangels in heaven have their functions, cherubims have theirs, separate have theirs, and so with humanity. Follow God and heaven's example. There is no reason why the Negro should not have his, and when he does not, he is not living to the proper life in accordance with the purpose of which the nature has made him. Your entire physiognomy is different from those of other people. Your hair is woolly, your nose is broad, your lips are thick. So this is the difference you must be attending to your outlook and to your view of life. Anyone calls you to the contrary is a liar and a fraud. In fact, an enemy to you and that of nature. In this human world of confusion, never let no one tell you that all races are different. You are one. If we are one, God would have made it so because he is not a deceiver. The Ethiopian is speaking as being different. Even in the scripture it says he cannot change his skin. Think what that means. It's a fair assumption that others may change their skin, but not the Ethiopian, who was the Negro, the black man. So there must be something permanent and lasting eternal about the black man. God knows why he fixed it so. Do not try to change it by subterfuge or internal fraud. What a grand thing it is to know that while others are changing, you, because of your race, cannot change. Tell this to the world. Tell them how lasting you are, and when they doubt it, send it to their Bibles, which you yourself never wrote. Emphasize the greater truth that it may be so. Even those who wish to otherwise to acknowledge this in respect to virtue. The black man evidently was the first man. Adam and Eve were black. Their two children, Cain and Abel, were black. When Cain slew Abel, God appeared to him and asked his brother that he was so shocked that he turned white. Being afflicted with leprosy and such, he became a general of a new race born of double sin. The white man is Cain transformed. It's his career of murder, from Cain to Mussolini. It is evident by a fair assumption that Cain ran away and disappeared from the neighborhood of his parents and journeyed afar, building up a new race, living in the same country but far away. And in this process of time in Africa, where all this happened, the Negro race through Adam and Eve continued their multiplication and it spread itself in the development of civilization. It suddenly came upon the settlement of Cain, and knowing Cain's history of blood, ran the entire race from that across the Mediterranean into Europe. The white race of Cain hid in caves for several centuries, but their white skin became fixed because most of the time they were hindered from life. Hence, the white man is a European. There is no other rival but your fellow man. Never allow your fellow man to rise higher than you. Otherwise, he will make you his slave. If you do not use the world well by understanding it, it will destroy you through its matter and through its mind. If you treat the world well by knowing it thoroughly, the world will serve you obediently. Always dispute the right of any man's superiority over you and your world. Fear no other man but God, for God is your superior, but man is always your equal. So as long as you rise to his attainments, you may rise to the attainments through the extraordinary use of your mind. Mind is matter, matter is king, and when it goes wrong, it loses its scepter. Always be on the throne. It is your prerogative. It is your right because you are Lord and Master of the earth and all things in it. In going throughout the world, hold your head up high in courage, for you always must be remember that you are a man and a ruler of the world. Remember that you rule the world through your mind. Think high, think deeply. Think in a way to make you and know all about you. If you do not know, you will fail. Be sure to know. Knowledge is everywhere. It is hidden, search it, and when you discover it and no one else knows about it, keep it and use it for yourself and your race. Your first duty in the world is to yourself, your family, your race, and your racial nation. Then worship God absolutely and thank him for all. If you love another man to know more than you, he will lead you to the precipices, and if it suits him purposely, he will let you go. Therefore, know as much as he does, and know more, so that he may not lead you blindly. When you have another man because he do not know, you are taking a dangerous risk. Bury you. He may hide away to suit his convenience. When you're walking through the world, always be on God. Try not to lose your mental balance. Try not to lose your sense of preparation, because in losing these things, you are doomed to the world. There is nothing a man cannot know except the divine and almighty mysteries of God. All that is possible to man, and man may know knowledge by seeking that in the world. Always try to be self-sufficient in yourself. Where it's impossible, always seek that self-sufficiency in your racial relations, the comradeship, or in your race. Always see that your race is sufficient. That means that everything you must be attainable to your race as far as human relations will permit. If you're not individually self-sufficient or cooperative in your racial relations or self-sufficient in your race as a whole, you will have to go outside yourself for that self-sufficiency, what makes you absolutely dependent on the good wills of others for your. No one will give away the value that you wanted for self. So if you have to serve and become servants or slaves to sufficiency, never wait on another man's pocketbook. Use your own, because he may never show up. He may die waiting on the way, and your wait will be too long. So that's Marcus Garvey in the book, talking about institutions and why we need to build up institutions. Yeah. So that was basically it. Hey, much love. Always be self-sufficient. You know what I'm saying? That's to be the strive to be self-sufficient. Always be original. Take these institutions and make them original your own. Try to take things and then you add to and take away from, and make it fit your culture and your people. You know what I'm saying? To do things for your culture and your people. So he also went kind of deep on a Cain and Abel type thing. You know what I'm saying? But also to me, he went deep on the scripture part where this comes from the book of Amos, where the Ethiopian is spoken to be indifferent. Even in the scriptures, it said he cannot change his skin. Think what that means. It's a fair assumption to others may change his skin, but not the Ethiopian, who was a Negro, the black man. So it's naturally ordained you can't change what you are. You know what I'm saying? So be excited. Be happy that you're African. And you come from a long line of queens and kings and explorers and other people. Learned scholars, male and female. You know what I'm saying? And that got to be part of our cultural treatment, our cultural identity. You know what I'm saying? Because the stuff that's being used now is still, the stuff we done back then and invented is still being used now today. You know what I'm saying? But it's not benefiting the race. You get what I'm trying to say? It's not like Winnington, you know what I'm saying, who does it, if you put in the United States of America, these plugs and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? I think it's 110 voltage or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He get 3 cents for every plug in the house. That feeds his people. You know what I'm saying? So we're not thinking like that. We got to get on more stuff like that. Anyway, much love. Subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Got big things coming on through. Much love to you and yours. Peace.